My name is Dimitris Kαιρίδης, as was said, from New Democracy ruling center-right party of Greece, and deputy chair of the Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee in the Parliament, etc., etc. Thank you. Well, I wanted to say so much, being in Moldova, and say that the fight for Moldova's European future is our fight. And whenever I get frustrated and disappointed with Europe, I turn to countries such as Moldova that give this fight all the time to enter Europe, to be encouraged. But I have to be brief. If I were to choose two things, I would say, one, avoid the natural tendency of politicians to blame Europe for everything bad and claim credit for everything good, which is something that we have seen in all our countries, to the point where we delegitimize the European project in the eyes of the citizen. And the second one, explain, and part of our function as politicians and elected officials is to continuously explain and explain and explain that voting the nationalist, populist forces is a recipe for disaster for all of us together. Because they work in a disintegrating, disuniting way in Europe and not in favor. The way to defend and negotiate and promote the national interests is not through antagonism and easy slogans, but through the hard work of trying to find common grounds and work through compromises, all of us together. This is very difficult to explain sometimes because media and citizens prefer easy sloganeering and stereotypes, but it is part of our job. So avoid blaming Europe for our own sins and explain and continuously explain that the nationalists are basically anti-nationalists and they work against our national interests. Thank you. And I will refer to the young people in the audience. For me, there is the practical aspect and the more political aspect. The practical aspect is increased mobility and easy mobility, easy traveling all over Europe without borders, open borders, free roaming, easy communication. Greece is a small country, quite alone until recently in the southeast of Europe. Expanding the horizons and broadening the perspectives was always very beneficial for a country, especially for a country such as Greece. That's the practical side. The political side, which is equally important, is feeling safe. A sense of security, belonging to a larger family, a family that is strong, that is respected, that has a distinct voice. Uniting with the rest of Europe make us all stronger and more secure.
So for Mr. Kairidis, the first one, from your experience in Greece, how can parliamentarians bridge the gap between technical EU procedures, you know how difficult it is for someone to apply to get a fund for a project in Greece, and citizens' daily concerns? The technical EU procedures and daily concerns.
This is very American and television style. I like it. It's not the usual boring format, very interactive, and congratulations to the organizers once more. You have proved your efficiency. So, first of all, parliamentarians should do their homework. They should read, and they should know the procedures and the technicalities, and it's not always easy. But they should make the effort to understand and go deeper than the shallow, often shallow debates of every day on television. And then try to link that with exactly, as you said, make it practical, make it tangible, make it concrete and understandable to the citizens. For example, as we said before, offering concrete examples of why Europe is important. Free roaming for youngsters is especially for youngsters who love to travel all over, is a benefit of Europe. Free traveling without passports, common currency. We belong to a generation that still remembers how it was 30 and 40 years ago. But the new generation takes everything for granted, and we should make the effort to explain to them that nothing is granted, that there is an everyday struggle in order to have this kind of benefits and open borders. I hope we will not be graded. I hope we will not take a grade or anything. It's a pass and fail.
Please, please, please.
From my Italian experience, I want to share this. Italian parliament and parliaments in general are not only the parliamentarians. There is a misconception. Obviously, the parliamentarians play the leading role, but it is also the technical staff, the administration of the parliament. Now, this becomes especially true at a time when there are a lot of clowns in politics. Clowns were always attracted to politics, and there was always a fair share of clowns in democratic politics, for sure. But I think that there is something special in our time today that makes it even more attractive. The role of the technical staff becomes very important. And whereas I have many encounters with Italian Parliament, and I have to admit that often it is a relief to speak to my Italian colleagues as a Greek, to see that clowns are not only in Athens but in Rome as well. I have to stress I am particularly impressed by the excellence and expertise and professionalism of the Italian administrators in Parliament. They get in with very tough exams. They know the whole file. They represent the Italian Parliament in Brussels because I've been in COSAC and in the Conference on the Future of Europe and so on and so forth, many fora. I'm really impressed. And it is an aspect, I see now my Greek colleagues doing an excellent job. It is an aspect that is often neglected, that you need, especially in Parliament, to have very meritocratic, tough processes of hiring people, because the administrators, because their job is absolutely crucial to give the right input to the parliamentarians.
Thank you for this comment, I appreciate it. I must say that we are also very impressed by the professionalism of the colleagues here in the Moldovan Parliament so far. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the second round of questions. So it can be a little bit shorter if you like, to have time for the coffee break and the questions from the students. Mr. Kairidis, again, how important is cross-border parliamentary cooperation in building public trust in the EU? Again, the word trust. Thank you.
That's a very important question and a very interesting question. But before that, Mr. Chair, if I can say two things about what we heard. About point number one, about populism and fake news. We live in a time of resurgent populism, for sure. But we should remember that populism is part and parcel of the democratic process. It's nothing new. It was always here. And we should see it as an opportunity, not only as a problem, in the sense that it makes politics matter. Democratic choices of citizens today matter. For too long, we were quite complacent in Europe. And there was a broad consensus between center-left and center-right, making politics a bit predictable and not mattering that much. Today, politics matter. You vote for Trump, you get a certain policy. You vote for whoever in Europe, this is important. And that's why we see an increased participation in elections. I mean, in Romania, we had very high participation a few days ago, for example. And by the way, the Eurobarometer results that you presented to us shows that we must have been doing something right to see that increased trust in the perennially attacked European institutions and European Union. Point number 2 has to do with young people. And I'm afraid that we need to think much more radically about engaging young people than the platitudes and commonalities that usually dominate the public debate. There is a very big structural problem. Democracies are about numbers and about votes. And the truth of the matter is that there are very few young people in our midst to matter for elections because of low fertility, because of immigration, because of low participation. For a number of reasons, the electorates, especially in countries like Moldova or Greece, are dominated by older people. And so the debates are always about the older people. We must find ways to double and triple the weight of younger people in our democratic processes. Not only engage in TikTok and try to have dialogues and stuff, but think more radically about the young and the unborn, the people of the future. Now, here, parliamentary diplomacy is quite neglected and underestimated. And I say that although myself is very much engaged in all sorts of fora all over Europe in parliamentary contacts. I have to say that is a vital link in bringing us together, because national parliamentarians are the ones who represent the people the most authentically. Away from the niceties and, if you want, the aristocracy of Brussels, you get to talk to people from the provinces, from the real Poland, from the real Hungary, from the real France, from what de Gaulle used to say, la France profonde. And I think this is very important to get a comprehensive view of what is happening to its country and to try to build bridges and common points of views, converging interests in order to promote. So, although most of the attention is focused on what is happening in Brussels, the European Commission, the European Council for sure, and the European Parliament, I think we national parliaments, and this is recognized in the renewal of the treaties, more and more so, have a vital role to play if the process is to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Kairidis, go ahead.
I think the most important thing is to have an open, occasionally adversarial debate. We should not shy away from the debate. We should accept that democracy and democratic politics is about conflicting views. And there is an inherent element of conflict and polarization in democracies. As long as this happens with argumentation and rationality, we only have to benefit from it. I think there is a misperception that European politics is all about being nice and moderate and gallant and I don't know what. The most important thing for the Parliament of Moldova is to have this open, unbiased, unrestricted, unconditional debate and make politics interesting again. I'm sure they are, and they try to be as such, but this would be my advice. The more debates, the more interest there is in it. I think that would be. I myself is a junkie of politics. It's one, pathology since I was very young. And I still remember watching, not many of my fellow students did, the British Parliament and the hour of Prime Minister there. And this wonderful, in the cradle of parliaments and parliamentary democracy that the British House of Commons is, these extraordinary debates between the government and the opposition, the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. I think we should have more of that. I abuse my role as a Greek to a fellow Greek, but there is also one more thing. Parliaments are the houses of the people and belong to the people. And behind and besides the imposing structures that exhume a certain sense of authority and distance and isolation, the true role of parliaments is to be of the people, for the people, with the people, all the time. I always liked the Scandinavian parliaments as buildings more than us in the rest of continental Europe. I mean, Italy has a wonderful parliamentary building. Nothing less could have been expected from Italians, and the beautiful city of Rome, obviously, this Palazzo Montecitorio. And Hungary has a very imposing building, speaking of the past glories of Austro-Hungarian Empire. But I think the Scandinavians have hit it best with these very low-key, transparent, simple buildings that bring the people in rather than keeping them out. The more we engage, the more we legitimize our existence, I think. And this is very important. We are the servants of the people rather than the other way around, and we should never forget that.
Thank you very much. Well.